89.9 KMOJ FM and KMOJ HD1 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Bringing unity to the community. 89.9 KMOJ, the People's Station.
Today's R&B and throwbacks. It's your girl, Glam Life Kim, and it is 2 after the 1 o'clock hour. And I'm sitting here with one of my favoriteest people in the Twin Cities, Mr. Anthony Taylor. How are you today,
I'm good. You know, you one of my favorite.
Hey.
Matter of fact, you my favorite, man.
Oh,
so let's just get that out. I ain't gonna say the one of no more.
Oh, that's so sweet. See, I done stepped up, y'all.
Yeah. You've been there. I just ain't told you.
Okay, there it is.
I ain't told you. I'm doing good. How you doing?
I am blessed. I cannot complain. I was surprised by the rain, but not surprised because I saw the sky, so I knew it was coming.
Yeah, it was gonna tell you.
But it shocked me for a second.
But because it came down so quick.
Out of nowhere.
It came down so quick.
It came down super quick.
So in Minneapolis, if you was by the window or driving, you seen what we was talking about. It was like coming down, you know. And I was telling Kim and I was telling Glenn Golden just the fact that it's not hot. I'm good. And
man.
But then I talked to y'all and y'all like the hot heatness.
I love the heat.
No, man, I can't do that, man. So, but it's still summertime. I ain't got no hats on and no coats on. You know what I'm saying? I'm with that.
Yes.
So, yeah. So listen, y'all. Welcome, Minneapolis. I am Anthony Taylor from the city of Minneapolis, riding shotgun, which y'all already know. My favorite person in the Twin Cities, Glam Life, Kim.
Hey.
Coming to you today, Minneapolis 360 on a rainy but cool day, y'all. Always blessed to be here with y'all to use this platform to give some information, y'all. One of the things, too, Twin Cities, if you've been paying attention to a lot of the shows that we've had, the city of Minneapolis is really doing a lot of work around reimagining public safety, how to do different interventions for folks that don't need police responses. And I have some guests on here that want to really dig into that and what that means, right? It's really something new that the city has been involved in. These people are on the streets doing it now. The behavioral crisis team, along with 911, really in the streets helping folks that don't need police responses. So if there's people that have mental health breakdowns or have some situations that don't require police, these team of folks are out there helping, qualified, look like us, experienced, being able to de-escalate problems that don't need a police. And we all understand sometimes, y'all, that we've got either family members or friends or any loved ones, community members that, you know, struggle through those things. And a lot of times what we've saw in the past, especially in Minneapolis, is that police respond to that, right? And let's just be clear, Minneapolis, you know, our police force aren't qualified they're not mental health practitioners, right? So we understand that. So a lot of times if you're not, as a police officer, again, this is no shade, but it's the truth, it's because you're not able to handle that because you're not qualified. And then a lot of those encounters, Kim, can be deadly, right?
Right.
It can be deadly. And so we don't even want any of that. Nope. So what we're doing in the city is making sure that we've got folks on the street that can be able to handle that. So I want to bring in two folks I met here earlier today that I can just tell by the way they sounded as we talked that they are really serious and intentional about the work they do. Is Joni Hodney from 911 City of Minneapolis, as well as Dean Zoller from the Behavioral Crisis Response Team. They are on the line, finna drop some knowledge, some serious bars about all of this, y'all. So, hey, welcome to Minneapolis 360 to you both. How y'all doing?
Welcome.
Good. Thank you for having us on today. Excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
Dean, how you doing?
I'm great. I appreciate you guys very much. I'm excited to do this.
So let's do some introductions. So Joni, I want you to go first. Just explain to folks, and Dean, when she's done, if you can kind of explain your role, just tell Minneapolis a little bit about your work in the city.
All right. Thank you very much. I am, as you said, Joni Hodney. I'm the assistant director down at 911, and since about 2019 have had the privilege of working with the OPI group in helping to prepare to get another type of response out onto the street for first responder, and that's the BCR group. With that, I'll turn it over to Dean.
Yeah, I am a behavioral crisis responder with the city of Minneapolis, and we're the new 7 months now. We're the new crew. I guess they like to say the fourth arm of the emergency services would be fire, EMS, MPD, and now us. We respond to all mental health, substance, homeless issues that calls that come into 911, and the dispatchers send us out.
Wow, I didn't even know that was a new team.
Exactly. A new team on the streets, Kim, and the thing about it, it's needed, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Super needed in our city. And Dean and Joni, I want to just kind of dig into that because there's a lot of information that we got to get to. So, like, we're talking about why is it important now to reimagine public safety in our city. And we've talked about this quite a bit, but I want from your perspective, why is the change that we are doing now needed today?
I personally believe that.
Go ahead, Dean.
I personally believe that it's necessary for the community to see people that are from their community. I live over north. People that look like them, that are showing up plainclothes, unarmed. It's two-person teams. That are part of the community, knowing that they need a specific response that does not involve police. We're trying to help people in a crisis in that exact moment, and particularly the marginalized communities that are throughout Minneapolis. We're there just to help. We're not trying to, nobody's in trouble. We're not trying to punish anybody. And a lot of the things that these calls come into 911, it's not a punishment, it's a treatment. We're trying to find the options for you that fit you best.
Go ahead, Joni.
Right, and I support that with Dean. You know, the community, you asked why now. The community has demanded we make changes. And the city's been working with community members to build alternative sources to police responses. And one of those responses that we were able to come up with was the Behavioral Crisis Response Team. And public safety is about making sure that those in need have a safe place to get the help they need. And that's a priority to us. So it's time we all work together as a community to ensure that we are all cared for.
Yes.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I liked that I heard you said was that the community demanded that, right? They demanded answers. They demanded change for decades, right? And one of the saddest things that I know as my time in working in the city is a lot of times Dean, Kim, and Joni is the fact that when community says stuff, we don't listen, and that's the issue, right? That's the main issue that happens. We get all of this information, and then it goes into to the cloud somewhere, right? Which is not cool, especially when we're talking about public safety, right?
Right.
Super important. And Dean, so like break this down, right? So what is the behavioral crisis response team? Give folks the ins and outs on this team, because like if Kim hasn't heard about this, there's a lot of other people that hasn't heard about this as well. So go ahead, Dean.
Absolutely. It's a two-person response to each call. We work in partnership, plainclothes. We have a radio that we need if we need to call EMS or any kind of other services that we would have to do. But it's us. We're all mental health professionals, varying backgrounds, social work, mental health facilities, working. But I personally came from the state, working with the mentally ill and dangerous population. And we go and we assess the situation and see, what sort of opportunities are available throughout the city with the social services. That's a free ride to the hospital if they need it, if they need to go to detox, any kind of service that we can provide. Right. You need bus tokens, we got bus tokens for you, and it's completely voluntary. We're not forcing you to make choices. We're not forcing you to make a decision at that immediate time. It's just more of a support system in place for people who are experiencing crisis.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love that nowadays we're talking about mental health more, and we're finding ways to help deal with it, because, a lot of times people are so quick to just be like, oh, that person is crazy, or, oh, they look dangerous, and sometimes you just may not be in your right state of mind.
That's right.
And it can take, of course, a professional could, hopefully they would be able to assist and, keeping everything calm and getting through, whereas, someone who's not trained in that skill wouldn't be able to, which could easily cause a situation to escalate.
It could be a problem. That's a great point. And what you said, Kim, resonates with me quite a bit. Is like you don't necessarily have to experience sustained mental health crisis. Like trauma happens in seconds, right?
Yes.
I mean, and Dean,
there's triggers.
It's triggers, absolutely. And Dean, just kind of talk about that a little bit because you're a mental health professional. So kind of just dig into that, right? It's just the trauma and situations and adrenaline and everything else. Like just dig into that a little bit when you respond to some of these incidents.
So our initial response, it would be from the person themselves experiencing this crisis or a family member or as simple as a passerby on the street that has concerns about the behavior of somebody. And when we're dispatched and we show up, our first thing is to make contact with that person and kind of see where they're at. What does that mean if they're willing to engage with us? And if they're not immediately, we'll try the slow roll process of just working our way, letting them understand, we're just here to help. We're not the police. That's first, we kind of do that first and foremost to let them, this is a safe space to be able to tell us what is going on in that immediate moment of their crisis. And depending upon the level of, they could just have seen something terrible happen and that's affecting them. It could have happened the day before and they didn't know why this behavior is turned up now, or they don't have a mental health history. And unfortunately, some people experience that mental health issue suddenly or an onset that appears sudden and they don't understand it either. So being able to say, like, let's get you somewhere to get you checked out. Let's get you safe. Let's get you off the street. Let's, any of those things, we do an assessment, and then we go from there after the assessment is done. And every step of the way, we want the person that we're responding to be able to have as much input and as much autonomy as they can possibly give so that they're making the decisions for themselves.
You know what? I do have one question, Dean. So the behavioral crisis response team, do they show up in uniforms? Are they cops? Do they show up in cop cars? What should we be on the lookout for when we know that this is the team that's arrived?
So we have vans that have a City of Minneapolis logo, and it says Canopy Roots. And then above and beyond that, we have T-shirts or polos that says behavioral crisis response on the back.
Okay.
So you really, it's indistinguishable from anybody else. We don't look like police officers. We carry radios, and that's just for dispatching purposes. If we're on foot, we need other resources or just to communicate with my partner. That's the only piece of equipment that we use.
And that's a great question because how do you identify yourself, right? Because a lot of times too, we don't also just want strangers walking up to us that don't have any type of identification on. Right. That's a great question.
We do have we do all have city badges with our photo with what the crisis response team on it. Wonderful. It's got our name, our picture on it. So, and that's a very good point that some people want to see that. They want to know that it's legit and just not somebody coming and asking questions.
Right.
100%. Talking to Dean Zoller from the Behavioral Crisis Team, Joni Hodney from 911. I want to kind of skip around a little bit, and I want to bring you in, Joni, just to talk because Dean's given us some great information, right? The Behavioral Response Team, it's mental health professionals. People are out there, want to engage with folks if they're willing, been able to provide these services. And I'm thinking if I'm a listener just listening right now, like, how do I get in touch with this squad, right? Like how do I find this if I got a situation? So talk a little bit about like 911's role in connecting, community members with the behavioral response team.
Absolutely. Well, if you are experiencing or you're witnessing someone experiencing a mental health behavioral crisis situation, whether it's your family member or a neighbor, call 911. The dispatchers there already have some solid training before they ever start taking calls. And when they talk to you on the phone, they're going to help to assess it, understand what's your need. If a BCR team can be the appropriate response, then we're going to be able to dispatch a BCR team to you who can help provide an empathetic treatment while de-escalating the situation with care and cultural sensitivity.
So
That's wonderful.
that's basically you guys are the first point of contact, correct?
Absolutely. We are the first responders is how they refer to us, because we talk to you before anybody else does. But during that call, we're able to help determine what type of services do you need. Do you need an ambulance from us? Do you need a fire truck? Or do you need now, as of this year, a behavioral crisis response team? And it's been an exciting program to watch grow and develop since it implemented.
And I think that's great. If there's folks that can connect these people that are on the streets doing the work is a beautiful thing. And Dean, so obviously you guys aren't working out of an office somewhere, right? So I'm assuming you're in the street. Where y'all at, bro? Like how how can people get in? Where you at? What's your hours? Like just tell folks like kind of the logistical things about your day-to-day operations.
So we're cruising the city. We're 24 hours a day.
Oh.
Monday through Friday is 24 hours a day, and then Saturday and Sunday is a day to evening shift that we have roaming around. It's as of right now, it's each shift. So I work mornings. My mornings, it's two different vans on. So I patrol precincts 1, 2, and 4, which would be downtown and all of North Minneapolis, both sides, north and northeast. And then the other van is precincts 3 and 5, all of South Minneapolis. And we're usually, if we're not driving around, we're walking around. We're kind of trying to get out in the community, let people see us, witness things for ourselves, get to introduce ourselves to community members, know the people that are out there. A lot of the community services that are available, we try to work with them, let them know who we are so they can call. We're 24/7, and hopefully by the very soon upcoming future, it'll be 24/7 full time.
365. Right.
Yep.
Do you notice most of the incidences? Do they happen during the week? Since you guys, it looks
That's a
like
great
Monday,
question.
Monday through Friday, you guys are 24/7 compared to the weekend. My thoughts would have probably been that you would get more activity on the weekend. Yeah.
Well, it does vary. It could be a Tuesday night, and like you say, crisis can happen in an instant for someone, and so something could be triggering on a Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
Maybe something that's happened in the country or even in our own state. So it does vary. Part of the reason why of it getting launched during the week is we've been able to slowly increase their hours and be able to get them to this full-time point, starting them out the first week or at first during the day hours, Monday through Friday. What that was helping us do is to help us evaluate how is this working. It's a pilot program, so we want to make sure it's working. It's touching the people in the community it needs to reach. And then it will continue to expand as we can hire more qualified people to work next to Dean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and one thing with pilot programs, and I know you guys will probably have this in the plan after a year or so. I would love to see the data, and I would like to. I think the people in the community just would like to see the data, right, when that's all said and done. Like just how many calls, locations, demographics, different times, and dates and stuff, or trends that they see. I think that'd be really something. Is that in the works too?
And even compare it to like previous issues.
Absolutely.
Did they end up in jail? Did they not?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Is that something that's been talked about?
So actually it has. There's dashboards being worked on that are going to be able to pull all that statistical information together. Keep in mind we've only been working for 6 months with the BCR team, so it's been taking us a little bit of time to get all of this. What do we need to see? What type of information? But you covered a lot of it. Not only what is the response, but also what's happening after the response.
Right. Right.
And so those are all the pieces that are being put together on a dashboard that can eventually be put out to a public-facing area where they'll be able to look at their own neighborhood or be able to look at even block to block what's happening. Right now, additional information can be looked at on the 311 website and on the 911 website, and then behavioral crisis response. Dean, I believe you have your own website as well, don't you?
It's on the Minneapolis gov.com or .org. It's a heading underneath there. So if you go to the Minneapolis gov.org, the city's website, we have a tab underneath there that has a lot of the information that you can find about the BCR. Facebook, same thing for Minneapolis GOV. I believe there's an Instagram also that has all of our kind of information. We've done a city council meeting to where we've been able to give somewhat of our data that we've collected so far. We have programs that we specifically for our reporting and internal documentation that like Joni was saying, is getting those intricacies of the fine numbers and the points of contact and like what happens and how things are resolved, that hopefully eventually will be available to everybody.
Yeah, and I didn't want to jump the gun. I'm just thinking that, like, if I'm a community member and I'm invested in my community and I'm sitting here and I'm listening to all the information and I'm loving it, I would just, as it gets down the road, I'd like to just see data. Like, folks need to be proven that this stuff is working. So I'm not suggesting that that's not going to happen. People understand pilot programs compared to, programs that are sustained and been running for a couple years. So super get it, but I'm putting my community member hat on. So I just wanted to be able to
results.
I want to see what's going on in my community. And listen, I want to kind of move the conversation on a little bit because I know we only have a few minutes. I wish that we had an hour show.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, Dean, is just, can you talk a little bit about your relationship with the police and first responders?
I'll be completely honest. When I first started 6 months ago, I was really my main concern wasn't about the reception from the community and the people we're going to be working with. It was working with the police and the other emergency response teams, feeling like you might be stepping on people's toes or feeling like you're intruding on what they've been doing historically, and it's been the complete opposite. The officers honestly know that they aren't equipped to deal with this. They don't want to deal with this kind of stuff anymore. Unfortunately, we live in a big city, and big cities have crimes that require law enforcement responses. That's what they're supposed to do. They don't need to do the mental health and behavior stuff, and they've kind of allowed us to have our own lane. And if we get more calls from MPD to come to a scene and handle people than vice versa, than I've ever called the police for backup, but also knowing that that's a potential if things go wrong, which thank goodness, knock on wood, hasn't happened yet. I've responded to over 700 calls personally myself.
Wow,
and
that's a lot.
And I haven't
6 months.
And I haven't felt the need, to have a police intervention because I felt like I was unsafe. But also knowing that they have our backs and they know that we're doing a job that needs to be done, that they aren't trained for. The same as I'm not a trained police officer. I don't want no part of that. I'm not trying to be a cop. I stay in my lane, they stay in theirs, and we work together great. The same with the EMS and fire. Everybody's kind of knows, like, this service has been something that's been lacking and is finally in place.
Good. I agree.
It's been really exciting to see how the groups have all come together and worked on this as a team. None of us knew at the beginning how it was going to go, and it's been fantastic to watch the whole first responder group come together.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, and I need to be careful just a little bit. I mean, and people, first responders just seem more in tune with different type of crises, right? They seem more trained. Like I've never seen anybody upset that the ambulance is coming. You know what I mean? And nobody is kind of tripping on that at all because we know that we're gonna get some care, right? So I think there's a level of training that's a lot different than, say, police officers, right? So that relationship that seems like an easy way to mesh, right? It's, the difference is, and what Kim talked about, and what I totally agree with, is that the relationship with the police is something that you experience that is a lot better than maybe what you may have thought coming into that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Dean, how do you feel the community has been responding to it? Like, do you feel like it's you feel like they relate to you guys and they're not as hostile because they feel like you're more empathetic with them, or I mean, and of course, I know there's different situations where, hey, if somebody's drunk or if they're,
Right.
they just may
Sure.
be hostile. But I mean, do you feel like the community so far and all of these 700, incidences that you've had to show up at, do you feel like they've been pretty receptive to your team?
Overwhelmingly positive. Very few. I can't even honestly think of one that was a negative. It's always been. I'm so glad this exists.
Wow.
Community members know that they can call specifically and ask for us, and we get that quite often, where family members will
good.
call for a relative and ask for the BCR.
Like, come on out here.
Specifically,
Good.
absolutely.
Oh, good.
Or knowing that past trauma with law enforcement affects their loved ones, so they specifically ask, please don't send the police. We get to show up and do our thing, and so it's been overwhelmingly positive. And when we introduce ourselves, if that's going into a store, if that's going into a church, any community space, everybody is thankful that this exists now.
I love it.
Yep.
I'm thankful.
I am too. Because you never know when trauma hits you.
You don't.
You
don't.
You don't schedule it. For next Tuesday at 1:00. Right.
Yep. I probably was 30, I'm 42. I probably was like 37, 38 years old when I first experienced seeing, someone that I knew have like a mental health illness episode, right?
Right.
And I had never experienced, didn't know what it was, but I see how definitely if there's somebody who's trained and knows how to deal, because I could see how easily somebody who isn't trained, who may be having a bad day or could, a lot could be going on, it could just go left so quick.
Real quick. That's a great point. Listen, y'all, this is great, right?
Yeah, we needed it longer. We got to bring y'all back.
We have to wrap this up. I just want to give you guys maybe just 30 seconds each, just what are the main things you want people to know from both ends about this program. So, Joni, I'll start with you. Give folks a 30-second mic drop.
Well, thank you, and welcome to everybody out there that's listening to this. The BCR team has been a fantastic addition to our groups of people that we can send out to help give you some services that are an unarmed police response. Thank you for having us on today. Please remember to take care of yourselves. A mental health crisis needs to be cared for the same as if you'd broken a bone.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dean.
Yep, and I just really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to talk about our program and the services. And if anybody listening, if you or a loved one are experiencing a mental health crisis, or please call 911. Ask for the BCR specifically, but you don't have to. 911 is trained to be able to dispatch to us, and I just want to get that out more than anything.
Yep.
Is that you don't have to do anything special. Call 911 and we'll take care of the rest.
That's a beautiful.
I want to shout out my mom, my
Hey,
mother,
Mom.
Michelle Segura. I love you.
Do I have just a real quick moment to say, Dean? While people call 911 and ask for a BCR team, remember that they're small and growing. So I can't always guarantee they're going to get a BCR team, but we're going to do our best.
Yep, that's a beautiful thing. Say your mom's name again, bro.
Michelle Segura.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Michelle.
I know she
Mama
listens. Mama Michelle.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mom.
I love you, Mom. I love you.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Hey, and listen, thank y'all, man. We got to have y'all back soon.
Yes.
So just please be safe out there and thank y'all for the work y'all do,
Yes,
man.
thank you both.
Thank
we
you
appreciate
so
you
much.
guys.
Very much.
Yep.
All
I
right.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Behavioral crisis response 911. Shouts out to mom. It's just a beautiful. It's a beautiful
is a
thing.
beautiful
Right?
thing.
It's a beautiful
and
thing.
I think the community is going to love it. So you guys, you heard it first right here on KMOJ and Minneapolis 360. Make sure that you guys, if you have any questions about it, call 311. They can even give you more info.
They'll give you more info, y'all. So hey, thank y'all. Be blessed. Be well. Be dry. Be
One
safe.
love, kings and queens. Until next time.